Sunday morning stretch like a song. Mileage and memories keep him moving on. If your compass is broken or you're lost in the sand, he'll show you the way with a helping hand. Whoa, whoa, in the light of dawn, coffee cup, open road, and the worry is gone. Master of the miles with a heart that understands, always a helping hand. Sun peaks up over pine and steel. Camp stove humming, coffee seals a deal. He checks the engine with a calm, steady hand. Maps out the miles like he knows this land. Smile for the neighbors, tools in the van. Sunday roads belong to the traveling man. Roll on, in the light of dawn. Coffee cup, open road, and the worry's gone. Master of the miles with a heart that understands, always a helping hand. On and down he hears the kids laugh loud. Fixes a loose latch, stands a little proud. Tells a small story, teaches how to mend. Promises to stick around till the weekend. Warmth in his voice, steady as the sun. He's the kind of friend you can count on. Roll on, in the light of dawn. Coffee cup, open road, and the worry's gone. Master of the mile with a heart that understands, always a helping hand. Sunday morning stretch like a song. Mileage and memories keep him moving on. If your compass is broken or you're lost in the sand, he'll show you the way with a helping hand. Whoa, in the light of dawn. Coffee cup, open road, and the worry is gone. Master of the miles with a heart that understands, always a helping hand. Cam stove humming, coffee seals a deal. He checks the engine with a calm, steady hand. Maps out the miles like he knows this land. Smile for the neighbors, tools in the van. Sunday rolls belong to the traveling man. Roll on, in the light of dawn. Coffee cup, open road, and the worries gone. Master of the miles, with a heart that understands. Always a helping hand. On and down, he hears the kids laugh loud. Fixes a little slat, stands a little proud. Tells a small story, teaches how to mend. Promises to stick around till the weekend. Warmth in his voice, steady as the sun. He's the kind of friend you can count on. Roll on, in the light of dawn. Coffee cup, open road, and the worries gone. Master of the mind, with a heart that understands. Always a helping hand. Sunday morning stretch like a song. Mileage and memories keep him moving on. If your compass is broken or you're lost in the sand, he'll show you the way with a helping hand. Roll on, in the light of dawn. Coffee cup, open road, and the worry is gone. Master of the miles, with a heart that understands. Always a helping hand. Sun peaks up over pine and steel. Camp stove humming, coffee seal.
Well, hello. Welcome to another episode of RV and Coffee. Hopefully you got yours, because I got mine. So today we're just going to talk about some RV accessories and upgrades. So we've done an accessory video before. I think that one's a little bit different. That's more of like accessories you need to have. These are going to be more of the ones to upgrade your trailer and just kind of, make things a little bit easier. So, first thing we're going to do here is we'll talk about battery upgrades. We talked about that in the other video as well. Most RV dealerships are going to give you a basic setup. You're either going to get one Group 27, which is a no-no, or you're going to get one or two Group 27 or Group 24s. Those are lead acid batteries. One Group 24, also a no-no. Just not enough. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're park camping. I don't care if you're constantly plugged into shore power. You're running a generator. One lead acid battery, whether it's a Group 24 or a Group 27, is not good enough. I'm telling you right now. I see it on a daily basis where people are full-time living in them. Oh, their 12-volt fridges aren't working right. Oh, their battery isn't holding a charge. Oh, because it's getting used way too much, even with a converter or an inverter charger supplying the power. You need to have that larger fuel tank. It'd be like having a diesel truck with a 10-gallon tank in it. Doesn't work. I mean, it works, but it doesn't. Let's be honest. So, let me fix this camera. I don't know why it's all twisted over like that. Stay. All right. So, a couple upgrades you can do is you can do two 6-volt batteries, so AGM or lead acid. They do provide a little bit better of a bank and everything. And then, yeah, so there's that. Those are kind of, that's what I would say would be your base setup. If we threw out the whole 12-volt lead acids, I would say you should be no smaller than two 6-volt batteries. And if I did, I would say go AGM. They're just a little bit better than the lead acid. They're no maintenance. Don't have to worry about topping them off with water and all that kind of stuff. You just got to keep them charged. Keep them clean. Take care of them in the wintertime. But what else you could do is go lithium. Now, lithium used to be really expensive. And some of them can still be. Some of them still can be expensive. And nowadays, because lithium has made such a surge as a battery in general, and I'm about to sneeze, so give me a second. Now that lithiums are making more of a presence in the battery world, there's actually starting to come down in price, which is good. There's just a few things that you need to look out for when you are buying it. One, make sure you're specifically searching for RV, because not every lithium battery has the insulation and everything for bouncing down the road. So I always search by RV lithium battery or lithium batteries for RVs, because then you're going to get the ones that are insulated, they're packed better inside the boxes, and kind of prevent any of that jolting around and bouncing around when you're driving down the road. Now, the more important thing you're looking for is amp hours. So a standard Group 24 size lithium battery is 100 amp hours. 100 amp hours is great. That's way more than a lead acid. A lead acid is right around 80, I believe, for a Group 24. But you only get to use 50% of it. So you only get 40 amp hours. With a lithium battery at 100 amp hours, you get 80% of that, which means you're getting 80 amp hours. So just off the rip, you're getting 80% of your battery versus 50% of your battery. So that's already better for one battery. Now, if you throw another 100 amp hour battery in there, you're going to get 160 amp hours out of those batteries before your low voltage cutout kicks in. On your lead acid, 2 group 24s, you're going to get 80 amp hours. You're going to get a total of what one battery can give you out of 2 batteries. Crazy. Lead acid is such I don't want to say archaic or ancient, but you know what I mean, battery type. They're just not good anymore. That's why they're so cheap compared to everything else, because they'd rather you buy those every 3 to 5 years instead of buying a good battery that's going to last you 10 plus years, because they're not making as much money off of it. My opinion, don't know if that's true. It just makes sense on a business mind. Think about it like a business. If lead acids were so good, why would they have to make a different battery? Just saying. If lithiums are so good, why do they even offer lead acid anymore? Because on a business mind, they're cheaper. You have to buy them more frequently. Now, I've seen some lead acids last 5, 6, 7 years, and it really just depends on the quality of the battery and how you take care of them. Keeping them charged, keeping them clean, taking them off in the wintertime so they don't freeze, all that kind of stuff. So, we got a couple things you want to look for in a lithium battery. Let me just pull that back up here. So cycle life or depth of charge, look for brands that state cycle life is 100% depth of charge. Premium options typically provide between 4,000 to 6,000 full cycles before capacity drops to 80%. So that's our lithium battery. Cell quality, you want tier 1, grade A, prismatic, or automotive grade cells. Cheaper unbranded alternatives contain recycle or B grade cells that degrade faster and suffer from internal balance issues. So one of the bad things about lithiums is if you got to imbalance cells and it won't balance, then that battery is pretty much toast. Which is the same in all batteries really, because if you got a bad cell in a lead acid, that battery's shot too. So that function of it is no different. It's just the cost to replace the battery that's different on that one. I think I've still replaced way more lead acid batteries than lithium batteries. And usually the lithium batteries I replaced are the super smart fancy ones that tie into CAN bus systems and all that in the higher end, class B motorhomes and stuff like that. So one nice thing you want to look for, and this all depends on where you're camping and stuff, but most RV lithium batteries come with BMS in them. So BMS is a battery monitoring system, and it kind of does multiple different things. So it can protect you from high temp, low temp situations. It can protect you from high voltage and low voltage situations. It can even have Bluetooth monitoring, so you can connect your phone to it on some of them. Some of them you can actually connect together, so then they can talk to each other and all that kind of stuff. I know Renogy has one that uses Ethernet, and you can actually daisy chain them together. And so when you do something to one battery, it changes the settings on all batteries. Another thing to look for, if you camp in a lot of colder conditions where it gets below freezing, get one that has a built-in heater. Now, do know that if that heater kicks on, you're actually using some of that battery power to keep the battery from freezing and shutting off. So, sorry, I read something on my screen that is irrelevant to this topic, and it threw me off for a second. You could be draining your battery faster while trying to keep using it, type of thing, if that makes sense. So that would be where, like, solar, running a generator, all that kind of stuff when you're boondocking would come into play. Couple top brands. You have Lifetime. They make a 12 volt, 230 amp hour battery that is known to be pretty good. Um, you got your top brands, Lithionics, Xantrax, Lion, Battleborn, um, Viper, which I don't think they go by Viper anymore. I think they're called like Epoch or something like that. I don't see them on here anymore. Um, but they're a black bottom with a green top. I'm pretty sure they changed their name a while back. Then let's see what other. There's another one that I'm thinking of, and I can't. Renogy's batteries are fine. I actually kind of prefer theirs on a technical aspect that I cannot discuss. But I do like the Renogy lithium batteries, at least the 12 volt, like little single Group 24 ones. When you get into the bigger ones, those are where like the Vipers and some of these other ones. So like Vatter makes a 12 volt, 300 amp hour one with a 200 amp BMS lithium. That's a big boy battery. 300 amp hours, 230 amp hours. That's crazy. That's a lot of power. Now, going into the next topic, that is where I would agree that if you upgrade to lithium batteries, your next upgrade, if you boondock, should be solar. A lot of new trailers are coming with at least one solar panel on it with a 30 amp PWM solar controller. You need to have a solar panel per battery. That's what I believe to be a proper setup. That's what a lot of techs I work with believe to be a proper setup. Is if you have 2 batteries, you should have 2 solar panels. So having solar panels will charge your battery when the sun's out. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Now, there are a couple different things. Like I said, a lot of them are coming with these 30 amp PWMs controllers. And when they get these PWM controllers, they only max out at 30 amp or 50 amp or whatever they are. They don't convert any extra voltage to amperage, to charging amperage or anything like that. They are good base system solar controller. Now, what you can do with these PWMs is you can get about 3 to 4 panels on there depending on your solar controller and the type of panels you have. If you're running 200 watt panels, you probably only should do 3. If you're running 100 watt panels, you can do 4 in series, but then you're going to get too high a voltage for that solar controller. So you do got to be careful. You do got to watch your specs on your equipment. So if you got 2 Group 24 lead acid, I would say that you should probably have 3 panels at minimum, just because they're lower end on the battery performance wise, and you want to get as much charging in there as possible. If you're running 2 lithium batteries with a PWM controller, I would still say max that thing out at 3 panels. Try to get as much voltage in there or as much amperage to those batteries as possible when you're not plugged in, to keep those things charged up. Because when the sun goes down, you're not getting any charging. It is what it is. Now, what you can do, and this is what I do recommend to people who are not in warranty or anything like that, and they get a bad solar controller. I will recommend that they upgrade their solar controller to a MPPT solar controller. Preferably, they're all the same, but preferably, as of right now, the solar controller brand that I recommend is Victron. Why? Because we have very, very little issues with Victron stuff. Most of the time, it's either it wasn't set up right or it's user error, and they're looking at too much information is all it is. Excuse me. But the Go Power and PPT, they do the same thing. A couple of other ones. There is one brand, man, I can't remember what it's called. I'm not a big fan of them because they have a lot of malfunctions. And there's actually a recall on one of the manufacturers that uses them because either they were improperly, the solar controller's failing, or they will use the wrong gauge wire or something. I don't know, but that kind of put a bad taste in my mouth about that brand. Not saying it was that brand, but I would, if it was me, I'd go Victron all the way. And if you have a travel trailer, you could do like 100, the 150. And the way that works is if the 100 is how many incoming volts from your solar panel you're sending to it, and then the 50 is the output amperage to your battery. So you could have up to 100 volts coming in, and you can send out up to 50 amps going to your batteries, which is a lot. You may only have a converter inside your little travel trailer that's only doing 45 amps, and your solar controller may be able to do more than that. So, and they make bigger ones. They do, I think they have like a 150/30, 150/50, 150/75. They got a bunch of different ones, so you could do huge systems. But with the MPPT, you definitely want to have one panel per battery. That's where that comes into effect. So that whether you're lithium or whatever, and the only reason that one is a little bit different is because an MPPT will take that extra incoming voltage from the solar panels and it converts it into charging amperage. So once that happens, then you're getting more charging. So more solar panels, better batteries. Those are some of your current first upgrades that I would recommend. Another upgrade, if you don't have one, which most people do when they buy a trailer now, is equalizer hitches. I have an E2 hitch. I like that style. I like that it doesn't have a lot of extra stuff. Simple mounting for the saddles, everything like that. The center lines are good. When my dealership that I worked at sold the recurve, the R3s and R6s. I actually really enjoyed those ones. I liked how the bars came up and along the top of the frame instead of down and hung under the trailer, like most of the equalizers do. So those are good. They're just a little more expensive, and that's why the dealership I worked at, they just couldn't get a good deal on them and then sell them without, we'd probably sit on them for longer than we'd actually sell them. So we quit. But I ended up gifting my father-in-law an R3. I think his was an R3 recurve, and he's had a trailer with a 2-inch ball, so he has the 2-inch ball that goes through it, and then they upgraded to a new trailer and went back to the 2 5/16. So it was pretty simple to swap back and forth even after they upgraded their trailer on that hitch. But you can do that with all the equalizers. So Husky makes a good one. I'm not a big fan of the chain styles and the sway control brake pad thing. I just don't like all the extra stuff. I like it to be all built into one. That's why the center lines are really nice. Blue Ox makes a decent one. There's one note. If you have a ram, you need to go 2 inches higher on your ball height. And if you have the air ride, you need to make sure that the truck is running and that you have the right brackets, the saddles kits. It actually has a different saddle kit. I don't know why they just don't make one hitch that has all the holes in it, because it's really the only difference is I believe it has an extra set of holes in the mounting bracket for adjustment. They should really just make one kit that works for everything, and I think it would be perfectly fine. But I guess I'm not part of the R&D department there. Um, let's see. What are some other ones? Um, I'm not a big fan of those big $3,000 hitches, and it's primarily because I worked at a dealership doing service, and it makes them so difficult to move around and all that stuff, and unloading and unloading and getting it into your bay and out of your bay. It takes so much more time, because those things they slide into a receiver. The hitch doesn't come off. You leave it on there. You just pull the pin out of your receiver and it slides out. I understand that they're better for driving, but some of these guys are driving 1-ton trucks with a 25-foot trailer and has a $3,000 hitch on it. Like, your hitch is 1/8 of the cost you spent on your trailer, or a quarter of what you spent on your trailer. Like, that is unnecessary. So there's another good RV upgrade, if you don't have it, going from a regular hitch to an equalizer. They're just safer. They distribute the weight a little bit differently on your tow vehicle, and they kind of prevent that swaying down the road in a windy day. Sorry, I do apologize. I'm getting over being sick, so my coffee's making my sinuses clear out a little bit. All right. So that's another good one. Some other things, so kind of new on the RV scene is Starlink. Um, I've actually thought about doing it at my house, but I just don't think it could keep up with how many devices we have, um, and have that bandwidth. But I'm not sure. It's pretty expensive startup cost on those, from what I can tell. But they are pretty reliable. They have a lot of mounts and stuff, so you can permanently mount them. You can keep them as a uh, like a portable. They make mounts for your vehicles now. I've seen a couple mounts on trucks where you take off your third brake light and then it installs a mount, and then it kind of sits on top of your truck when you're driving. So even when you're towing and everything, it's all right there. So Starlink is a good upgrade. Satellite is kind of, I think, going on its way out in RVs. I don't, to be honest, I just don't think satellite TV is gonna make it very much longer. Um, I just imagine that they're gonna have to redo the way that their process works, on RVs and in homes. So, you could still do satellite. It's still offered DirecTV, Dish Network. Whether you're going with a Traveler, uh, what is it, a Playmaker, uh, oh, what's the one? It's a T4 Road something. Winegard makes that one too, where you can actually use it while you're driving, and it keeps the satellite dish pointed towards the actual satellites even when you're driving. Those are primarily used more in motorhomes than anything else. Um, let's see what else. I think King Jack makes a satellite do a little dome one, whether you could do portable or mount it on the roof. So there's a couple different satellite options. You got some internet options, stuff like that. If you're full time living in it, you'll definitely want to skirt it, block that wind from getting up underneath the RV. It definitely helps with insulation and keeping it warm in the wintertime, or using like the 2-inch thick foam boards and taping it, or hay bales, or anything to kind of do that. If you do the like leather or pleather skirting, have that installed by a professional, um, because you're putting 1,000 of those little turn locks all over your RV, and if they're not in the right spot, then your skirting's not going to attach right, and it's going to turn into a headache. Have it done professionally. Even the dealership that I worked at, we wouldn't even do them. We would refer them to a guy that comes out to your campsite and does it. And that's all pretty much all he does is go around and install these at different campgrounds. Um, and then, let's see. Yeah, I think, inverter chargers, I, I'd go with Victron on those two. So if you're going to do an inverter, um, talk to a talk to a technician. Tell him what you want to run. Tell him what your setup is. Have him pick out what inverter he thinks. Don't talk to the salesman or outfitter at whatever dealership that's selling you the trailer. They don't know. I would even be safe to say that the parts counter will know the equipment, but they don't know what wattage you need. They don't know what equipment you're going to need. They just know brands and what's available. And there may be some, don't get me wrong, there may be some outfitters, there may be some salesmen, there may be some parts people that do know. And there's definitely going to be, just on the opposite end, there's going to be techs that don't know what they're talking about either because they just don't have the information. But I would say 9 times out of 10, a technician will be able to give you the advice for a proper setup for what you're wanting. So just reach out to them, talk to them, and do that. All right. So we got inverters, we've talked about batteries, we've talked about solar, we talked about satellite and internet. I guess some other cool upgrades that you could do. I have a 17-inch Blackstone, and I got the hose. It's a 12-volt hose that attaches to the Blackstone, and you can attach it to the Quick Connect on your RV, and it runs right off the propane from the RV. I don't have to bring any of them little Coleman bottles. I don't got to worry about that little L adapter to hook to the Coleman bottle getting lost in a compartment somewhere. I just have a single hose. I also have a hose that's like a 4 or 6 foot hose that I can hook directly to a propane tank. So that's how I use it at home on my back porch, and just take the propane tank off my grill. So great accessories. There's a bunch of different applications for these grills. Barbecue grills, Blackstones, propane fire pits, all good, So there's definitely, if you can think of something, more than likely there is a way to do it. So those are some good accessories to increase that quality of camping there. Just trying to think if there's anything else that would really recommend. Inline water filters, always good to have if you don't have the one that's built in. If not, I always recommend keeping an extra filter. You want to change those out. If you don't camp a lot, once a year, swap it out. If you do camp a lot or you're full-time living, you need to change those out, every month, every other month type of thing. They'll start to turn brown, and that's gross. Let's see. Black tank chemicals, RV toilet paper, those are things we've talked about on a previous episode. Liquid Alive is definitely one that I would probably have, maybe not in the camper unless I was living in it, but if I would keep it in the garage as a just in case. But there are times where the buildup inside your black and gray tanks are just so much that even a flush, like a regular water flush, isn't going to be able to clean that stuff out. So what you do is you dump this bottle of Liquid Alive, the whole bottle if you're using a black tank, half bottle on your gray tanks, but a whole bottle down your black tank. Then you're going to fill your black tank up and let it sit. So it does say let it sit for a minimum of 4 hours, I believe is what the label says. I like to let mine sit overnight. So when I worked in the shop, I'd do it, and then I'd go home for the day. The next morning, I'd come back, I'd dump the tank, and I would say 9 times out of 10, the tank would read empty. No smell, no buildup, nothing like that. Um, I would say if not, then I was at least getting a reading change. So if it was stuck at 2/3, well, now it's going to read 1/3. That right there tells me it's just a dirty tank. There's not a sensor issue, and I may have to do it again. Those are the ones that probably they lived in it and they just left their valves open, and so they got what we like to call as technicians a poop mountain inside their black tank. And it can take a couple of those flushes with those high enzyme cleaners to clean out. So having Liquid Alive is definitely a good thing to have inside your camper, or at least in your garage at home, so then it's readily available for you to use. Your gray tank, that's usually going to be like your soap scum, your grease, your food buildup getting pushed down the drain, stuff like that, and it just builds up over time. And they don't build a flush into the gray tanks just because they don't get as dirty. So that's why you'd only use like a half a bottle, because you just don't need as much to break everything down, but you can use it on your gray tanks as well. Let's see. I don't know if anyone's got any. Did anyone got any questions or anything about any accessories or add-ons for their RV? Go ahead and throw those in the chat, or I think when it's live, it's on the left side. Or any products that they would like to talk about. Let's see what else I can. So talk about that. I want to talk about that part. If you have a tanked water heater, you can always upgrade to an on-demand if you're a full-timer. I think for full timing, an on-demand is better. But at the same time, like, it could be better for a park camper or something like that too. So there's kind of pros and cons to tankless. They do have their own set of problems. I think it's simpler to have the old gas electric, but you're limited to 5, 10, 16 gallons of water depending on the one you have installed. Whereas an on-demand, it's continuous until you either run out of water, you run out of propane, or it fails. But most of the time when it fails, we can usually get it up and going without even having to replace any parts. It's a bunch of little tasks that sometimes don't even make any sense. Unplugging all the plugs off the board and plugging it back in. I mean, 50% of the time that fixes the problem, and I couldn't even tell you why. It doesn't even make sense, other than it's like performing a reset on the circuit board. Sometimes it's customer let their batteries get low, or their propane's turned off, or their propane's low, and you're getting those E5 or E1 codes on your water heater. So they have their own problems, but at the same time, you're getting that constant water supply the majority of the time. So distribution. If you do a lot of traveling, let me see if I can pull that up, because I don't know exactly what it's called. I know Lippert makes it, and I think Morine makes one too. Let's see, products. RV. Probably going to be under the axles. Oh, what are they called? Let me go through their support page here, because I think I know where they're at on that, and then I could at least know what the name of it is. So on your axles, on your travel trailers and fifth wheels, you can get shoot, Moride's is like the CRE 3000. It's supposed to be like a dampener for like your suspension components. An equalizer. That's what it's called. An equalizer. So Lippert has three. They got one. It's called the Equiflex. They have one that's called the Road Armor, and they one that's called the Center Point. The Center Point would be if you're constantly traveling the whole time, like you're always on the move. That would be the one you want. So it's got an airbag built into it. You can pressurize it, all that kind of stuff. But it is expensive kit and install. The Equiflex, and here, let me so these are the three right here that are made by Lippert. I think this one is the base. So if we look here, you can see, and it's got these rubber bushings in here that kind of absorb any of the shock and all that kind of stuff. And then if we go to like the Road Armor, it actually has the rubber bumpers on the top and the bottom. So it prevents these from rotating too far. It absorbs some of the shock. And they have obviously different setups. So triple axle short or long fixed equalizer, or tandem or triple axle up here. So, and then you have the Big Daddy here, the Center Point. And that Center Point, let's see if there's a good picture of it. Why'd they do them at like 45 there? Let me zoom in on this. So you can see like this is the airbag's on the Center Point here. And it's actually putting pressure on each side of this, which is preventing, you know, and absorbing shock. So it's basically putting an airbag kit on your RV. They're all bolt-on. I mean, this one you have to run airlines or whatever. Up front, you can see all the airlines, and they run the plates and air gauge panels, and you can do an onboard air compressor and all that kind of stuff to make it easier. But so that's for that one, and then let's do more ride. Upgrade your RV stability. Let's see, products, towables. We're gonna go suspension upgrades. So for Ride, you're gonna have a couple different options. You got the CRE 3000, which a lot of RVs come from the manufacturer with these already installed, which is really nice. But it's same thing. They got the rubber bushings up here on each side, so when this pushes up, it absorbs some of that shock, and it just kind of helps create a little better ride quality. I've not seen this one before, the Alltrek 4000, so I'm not quite familiar with this one. I don't really see what this one is for. Our roughing can take a toll. The Alltrek 410 is designed to protect your trailer at all time, whether you're towing with a 4-inch suspension travel to protect your house on wheels from those harsh, rough roads. So it doesn't really... Over 40% more rubber for smoother, more comfortable towing. Protects trailer from damaging road shock. So I'm assuming that this just has different rubber shock absorbers in it. It looks like this slides, so you can actually maybe change the height on the trailer, but I don't know if I would trust these two bolts to hold my trailer off the ground. So, not quite sure on that one. Have not used it before, have not seen it. Couple other things, just because they're on here, is they do make upgrade kits if you wanted to go to electric over hydraulic brakes. and all that kind of stuff. I don't have a lot of experience with it because we don't see it a lot. Um, but I did just talk to a customer who had one. He was having issues with his uh, dash saying trailer disconnected, but if he hit the brakes after a couple seconds, he could feel it braking, but he did have the electric over hydraulic. Now, I did look up, and it does say there is a delay because you have the signal from the truck to the trailer, from the trailer to the circuit board for the pump, and then the pump is activating and then sending that brake pressure down to your brake pads to brake. So there is a delay, it says, but whether or not that is, 3 seconds or so, I don't know. And whether or not that's the cause of his um, trailer disconnected, because it may not be sending that signal to the magnet and back to get it, because it's going from there to the circuit board. So um, there may be issues with that, but they do make the conversions and everything that turn your trailer into a disc electric over hydraulic. So another good one. Let me see here. Some good motorhome ones, upgrades. So, I've done a lot of them on the Class A gassers, and that is the steering stabilizer. But you could essentially get that on almost any motorhome, a steering stabilizer. They definitely are a lot nicer on um, the bigger motorhomes. So the Class A gas, the Class A diesels, stuff like that. And I've not put one on a Class A diesel before, so I don't actually know if they do have one. See, this one's not doing it. I think Roadmaster. Nope. Roadmaster. Let's see. Products. Base plates. Maybe suspension. Anti-sway. Shocks. Sway bar parts. Steering solutions. Here we go. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is the big boy. I've installed these. These things are pretty well built. The reflex steering stabilizers. I don't think I've done this one. This one's a little bit different, but I've done this one. Super nice. I mean, they're heavy duty shocks with a big old spring on them. And then you get whatever mounting kit for your chassis. So they got different bracket kits and stuff. And they just help prevent. So it should say right here. Front tire blowout, crosswinds, road fatigue, rut tracking, rut edging, potholes and debris. Pretty easy installation. It's about a 2-hour process. About an hour to do the install, and then you got to do a couple test drives and adjustments after that. So that's where that second hour comes into play. And then it is always recommended to take it to an alignment shop. Because once that thing is installed, if your alignment was already out, your steering wheel might be now like this, driving straight. But the steering stabilizer is set to drive straight. So now to get your alignment, you have to go adjust your alignment so it brings your steering wheel back straight. So it is always recommended to do an alignment after you get any sort of suspension work done on your Class A's. Other things, so you can do flat toes. So depending on your kit, your car, you can come in here and you can figure out which style you want. So let's see. I've got I don't even know if I can. Let's see. Dodge Durango. Fits all-wheel drive models. Adaptive cruise control is okay. No Pursuit, SRT, or SRT Hellcat. No brush guards. So just make sure that you have the right trim. There have been a few where like a Chevy Suburban is okay to flat tow, but you have to look at the four-wheel drive knob, and if it doesn't have the 3 settings and it only has the 2 settings, the one with the 2 settings can't be flat towed, but the one with 3 settings can. So just make sure that you adequately check your stuff. You can come in here, check out your base plates. It'll take you right to it. It'll even tell you where to buy. Super, I mean, for me, easy install. Takes about a day to do a full flat toe, mounting brakes, and then you got your different braking systems. The braking system that I recommend is, and it's all dependent. So you have that's who makes it. I couldn't remember who made it. So if you're running like a Class C, Class A gasser, I'd recommend going with the Stay and Play Duo braking system. Just puts an actuator on your brake pedal. When you hit the brakes, it sends a signal to this control module, which turns on an air compressor inside of it, which then pressurizes the electric or air actuator and presses on the brake pedal, and that's what slows down your tow, your flat tow vehicle. If you're running a big motorhome, a diesel motorhome that's got air brakes and stuff, you can go with the Air Force One braking system. A little, I mean, a lot of it is the same, but there is a little bit different. So this is the control box. It doesn't have the air compressor in it because what you end up doing is you have to install a piece on the motorhome, and then it runs a line to your hookups, and then you run a line from an airline from the bumper here when you hook up your 7-way and your chains and all that kind of stuff, and it goes across, and it goes in here, comes out, goes to the little actuator on the brake pedal. So a little bit different, a little bit smaller, more discreet for that. I've never seen that before. I mean, we definitely got some videos here. So there's the little actuator, there's the control box. I've done the Blue Ox like suitcase one. It goes in so it goes in between the seat and the brake pedal. You're just wiring up a signal wire from the tow vehicle to the other vehicle, and then it basically has an electric actuator that pushes down, down on the brake pedal out of this suitcase thing, and then it just has a breakaway switch that you put up front in case the tow vehicle and the vehicle get disconnected. It'll pull that breakaway switch and get the unit to stop for you. Shoot, I think that about covers it. I don't really think you can upgrade mattresses. I actually talked to a guy. So most RV windows come tinted now, but he was actually going to do the layer on the inside of the window too, and prevent it. I mean, in theory, that should work. That would be a good upgrade to double tint your windows. Try to help prevent some of that heat, especially if you're down south, Arizona, Texas, stuff like that. That would be a good an upgrade for your RV. Yeah, so I think that kind of covers some upgrades and accessories. If you have any questions, or I didn't talk about something that you're wondering about, go ahead and drop that in the comment section below, and I will take a look at that. And if it's something simple, I'll answer it right back. If it's something that we can go into depth with, I'll make that a future video, and we'll go from there. But you guys have a good rest of your Sunday. Relax before the week starts. Enjoy that coffee, and we'll see you on the next one.